guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Shelly. I am 63 years old and I live in Central Florida. And here we talk about Shelly over 60, my thoughts. So today's Shelly's thoughts, I was going to talk about counselors, right? Couples counseling, therapists, things like that. And here's the thought I have on that. About 14 years ago or so, my husband and I were struggling a little bit with my daughter. When we got married, I had a 7-year-old, and she's autistic, as you all know, or if you're new here, I have a 26-year-old daughter who is autistic, and we were kind of like doing this as to I get not disciplined so much, but just kind of raising her, right? Different ideas, different views. And I was of the mind like, well, I'm the mom. I know her better than anyone, and here's what we're going to do. For example, we were really struggling with, she had always slept with a TV in her room, and his kids did not sleep with TVs in their room. So he couldn't understand her, falling to sleep with a TV on, whether it was Disney Princess or whatever. So I decided, let's try therapy. Let's go to a therapist and kind of get some coping skills or, help navigating this. So we go. Well, I always got a story. So we go here in town. I pick this lady, we go there, make the appointment. So I had been home that day. I'm running around, pair of jeans, sneakers, the ponytail, like you see here, right? I'm just running around. And he, of course, is coming from work. He had the tie, the dressed up with the tie and the briefcase and all that. So I get there a couple of minutes before him, not too much. So she spent about, let's say 15 minutes with me or so, 15 minutes-ish. And I was just telling her, I feel like we struggle with, agreeing on different things, blah, blah, about my daughter. We were talking about my daughter. Wow. He gets there. Now, mind you, my husband's 12 years older than me, and she was about 10 years older than me or so. And so it was so funny. So she goes, I come out into the waiting room, and he goes in now to talk to her because like alone with me, alone with her, and then together, I guess, was the concept. So now she's alone with him. Now with me, remember, if it was 15 minutes, I'm telling you, 35, 40 minutes went by. He's in there. She's in there with him. Already I'm like, what, what's going on, right? I'm like, did they leave? So she finally calls me in, and we're all three sitting there. And she launched into this big dissertation about, oh, he doesn't like the way you swear, and he doesn't like you doing this and you doing that. And I was like, what? I mean, we're here to discuss what? Like, we're talking about my kid, right? So she's like, yeah, she goes, he doesn't like your language, because I'm a Jersey girl. I ain't even gonna lie. I let it fly when I'm mad, and I don't think he'd curse if he was on fire. We were just very different like that. Nothing wrong either way. It just was, right? Well, he must have told her I don't know. So I gave him the wife look, the wait till we leave look. So she all of a sudden looks at me dead ass serious and says, I picture him more with someone like me than you. I don't know how you two ever even got together. What? And I said, well, y'all don't like my language. You better buckle up because I'm about to let it fly. And I just, I went off, okay? So I storm out. He's chasing me. She's chasing him. It was like a bad movie. So I'm going by the waiting room, and there's a girl out there. And I said, well, you better hold on to your husband if you're here with your husband. And she was like, what? And I left. I went down. It was pouring down rain, just buckets, like rain like I never saw. And I'm running out in the rain. I get in my car. And I'm like soaking wet. And I go home, and she's calling my cell phone, right? And she's calling. I'm not going to answer that. So he had to go back because we had forgotten our driver's license and our insurance cards she had taken when we first got there. And I was like, go ahead and go out with her and go blah, blah, blah. You know, I was off the rails. So she called me and she's like, oh, you know, I'm not going to charge you. I'm like, yeah, bet you're not. Bet you're not, man. I put up the strongly worded letter, right? Anyway, I just thought it was so inappropriate. Like, she says, oh, I picture your husband with someone more like me. And I almost fell over. I'm not even kidding. So I was a little jaded. All this is to say is sometimes is couples counseling really the answer? You know, I did not have a good experience. It's not to say everybody has a bad experience. So, and all this is to say, just be careful, right? Make sure that it's somebody who's going to be kind of like just listening to both sides, not biased, just kind of hearing everybody, and not some kind of crazy. To this day, I can't even believe that happened. I'm not even kidding you. I tell people that story and they're like, what? And I'm like, I'm not even kidding. I wouldn't have believed it. I was gobsmacked. So she obviously had a motive. I don't know if she had a little thing for my husband or whatever. So it was awful, right? I couldn't believe it. It cracks me up to this day. I'm laughing because it's so stupid, right? So, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with therapy. You know, my daughter's in therapy, especially when you have autistic children. You know, therapy is a big part of that. Different kinds of therapists, you know. So just be careful, especially with couples counseling, right? You have to make sure they're not skewed one way or the other, you know, and just be real plugged into what this person's saying. Because as soon as I sat down and she started going off on something we wasn't even talking about, that should have been a big flag for me. I should have said, yeah, I'm out of here, right? Like right there. But I kind of let her just, you know, she just buried herself, right? You know? So it was really ridiculous, really ridiculous. So my advice to y'all is, obviously there's nothing wrong with couples counseling or couples therapy. Just do your homework, check the references, check the reviews. This was 14 or 15 years ago, so I wasn't big on, like I didn't go online and all that like that with reviews and all that at that time. Now I think it's a little more readily available, you know, so my advice, make sure you you get those reviews and just be mindful of who this person is, you know, really do some digging. So that's my couples counseling experience. So let me know if you ever run into a really crazy counselor like that, right? Whether it's for your kid or your parents or like for me, you know, couples counseling, whatever the issue. Have you ever come into that? Like somebody really like just kind of like out there, like where you're like you just can't believe it, right? Anyway, that was my hot topic for the day. So please subscribe so you don't miss my thoughts, because you don't want to do that. It's usually pretty crazy. And that's it. You guys have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.